A Newport Beach-based tech CEO is at the center of an international criminal investigation.
Yeah, Jamshid Ghomi is accused of illegally supplying computer networking equipment to Iran. Investigative reporter Eric Leonard joins us live from the newsroom with more on these charges. Eric.
Right. The man charged here, Ghomi, who's now in federal custody, is accused of running a business that federal agents say deliberately dodged U.S. restrictions on doing business with Iran. The feds say he was exporting computer networking and encryption equipment that may have been used by Iran's military and its nuclear development industry.
You know, Republicans used to believe that not prosecuting criminals led to more crime. The answer here is take the politics out of the decision, and in this case, proceed with the prosecution and do the same for anybody else who does anything even remotely like it. Just read the indictment and ask yourself, if the government can prove what they allege here, shouldn't this man go to jail? The simple fact he had the documents for any reason or no reason should subject him to prosecution.
And now let's get to some breaking news from just moments ago. John Bolton, President Trump's former national security advisor, is expected to plead guilty over mishandling classified documents. And for much more on what we know about that, let's get to CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson. Jessica, thanks for your time today. So what are we learning about this?
So we're learning that John Bolton has apparently agreed to plead guilty to one count of improperly retaining classified information. He was facing 18 counts. He had a court date that was scheduled for June 26, and he was facing counts related to not just retaining classified information, but also disseminating that information. Specifically, the allegations were reportedly related to sending his wife and his daughter classified information, all in the preparation for the book that he wrote that was highly critical of President Trump. We also know that John Bolton had said that he was the victim of a weaponized Department of Justice. One thing I think as this story continues to play out that's important for people to know is this case was a little different than other cases where the Department of Justice went after some of President Trump's political foes. This was a case where reporting indicates that career prosecutors supported the case, and the Biden Department of Justice also looked into this case. So right now what we have is an apparent plea deal and John Bolton facing anywhere from about 0 to 5 years in jail. So if the judge accepts this plea deal and he does in court say, I plead guilty, then absolutely that is an acceptance of not just wrongdoing, but criminal wrongdoing. Part of what happens in a plea deal is that a federal judge will almost always say, do you understand what you're saying? Do you understand you're admitting to guilt in this case? There are different types of pleas where you essentially plead no contest. That's not what we're talking about here. The reporting again indicates that he will say, I did something wrong, not as to those 18 counts, all 18, but as to this one count of retaining classified information.
Yeah, baby, it's episode 85 of The Whiners on June 4th, 2026. I'm told by my colleagues June 4th is some sort of significant date, but they wouldn't tell me why, but maybe during the show we'll find out. Our special guest tonight is Matt Ho, I think for the third time. Matt, as you all know, and as we just saw in the opening, is a former Marine and State Department officer. He's also a senior fellow with the Eisenhower Media Network, and he is a dog lover. And we will get to that shortly and hopefully solve the problem that Matt has been having lately. But before then, let us say hello to each other. Hello, fine people. How are you?
Hello. Nice to see you again, Matt.
Howdy.
Yeah. Thanks for having me back on, guys. Good to see you all.
Well, this is a serious news show, so we wanted to have you back because you bring the heat. And bring your scissors and the barber for John Bolton because he might be headed to the slammer, huh? 0 to 5 years. Remember, that's what they said.
Something is that a $20 million fine, something like that.
$2 million. Don't come on. The guy's poor, Morgan, you know?
Well, whether he's in prison or out of prison, I'll be drinking great wine at of reasonable prices, despite the world economy going haywire and us having to resort to buying gold and silver. Wine is still affordable, and I've got myself a really good California blend tonight. What are you drinking, Ryan?
Well, what I'm drinking is sorry, there's a lot of fine print here. This is an Argentine Malbec, and it's one that was purchased for the show, and I can't say too much about it except that for $15, it tastes very good. It's got all the rich flavors. They hand-picked the grapes. That's amazing.
Let me do my eye test.
Yes, do your eye test. What's that on the eye doctor? I'll tell you what. Line number 15 says alcohol is 13.9%. So if I'm drinking too much of this and sounding eloquent, then you know it's the 13.9%. So
Okay.
All right,
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. That's what I got to say.
And Matt and Morgan are not joining us with adult beverages tonight, but we still love them anyway.
I'm hydrating with some water.
Just not as much as we would love you if you were.
I've got to get a plane tomorrow, so I've got decaf coffee. But maybe next, if you guys have me back on for a fourth time, maybe I will open up a bottle.
Okay, well, let's do it.
All right.
Screw top, a box, screw top, or with a cork?
Yeah. Right out of a box.
Sorry, that was a quiz. That was a quiz. I apologize.
No, I think most of what they have now are probably screw tops. I think most stuff is screw tops. You know, I mean, that I get. It seems to me, and certainly if I've got to decide, I'm choosing the screw top over the cork every time. Just one less step in the process.
There you go. There you go.
I like that, Matt. I wonder if I could get Matt on board with me with my anti-chopsticks position also.
Really?
Wow. We were talking about going to China, and now it's
without knowing anything about this, Jeff, I'm on team chopsticks, but maybe you can move me over to your team. So why are you?
Well, the parallel that I'm seeing is that it's considered more sophisticated and all that if you uncork the wine. And that's kind of how I feel about chopsticks. We have to honor the culture and do this special and blah, blah, blah. But chopsticks suck. That's my position. If they were so good, people would be using them all the time for all types of cuisine, and they don't because the fork is superior.
I think it's the overall experience and the uncorking of the wine, happens in the kitchen. No one's around. No one sees it. It's not shared. No one else is fumbling over the corkscrew, breaking it in half and having to turn the thing upside down and using a strainer to strain out the pieces of cork. Right? I mean, that's a lonely experience, and that's an experience that nobody wants to have. You just
described my life 10 minutes ago.
Right? I mean,
I've never had that experience.
We're all in on the fun. We're all fumbling around with it. We're dropping it. I mean, so it's more of it's part of the dining experience, I think.
All right. So when you're with friends, maybe at a restaurant, you'll uncork a bottle, and same with the chopsticks because people are watching you, but you won't do it by yourself. Is that what you're saying? Did I understand that?
No. I think I think we've all had those experiences with corks where you've ruined the bottle of wine. You've got you're with particularly when you're younger maybe, and you go over your girlfriend's house and you got this nice bottle of wine and you try and open it in front of her, you can't do it, and it's just she's thinking, is this what it's going to be like tonight in bed? Is he foretelling this already? How So no, I think your chopstick cork analogy. I don't think it.
You don't buy it.
I mean, there's over 2 billion people that use chopsticks on a daily basis. So this is just Jeff needs to get out.
I just want to say that we love the Chinese people. Nothing against them. It's just a utensil preference. Ryan is the one who's feuding with a Chinese woman. You have a Twitter feud going on right now.
Oh my goodness. Well, it was a short feud with Ling Wei, and she is the Wall Street Journal chief China correspondent. And she's come out with some new book, which is just like the big expose of exposés about kicking American journalists out of China. I think somebody from the New York Times was kicked out of China. And so this is something to go beat the drums over. And she said that the Chinese like to control the narrative, silence independent reporting, and this makes China not look strong, but look afraid. So, of course, I said, well, I just returned from China. And the irony is that the United States news media is always trying to control the narrative. Wall Street Journal, New York Times, both are prime examples. By the way, that's another example of left, right. Somehow they suddenly come together, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, rather than debate,
you shouldn't feign innocence, Ryan, because you posted a very provocative tweet.
That's it.
You said to her, "Who are you?" I just returned from China, and she's just parroting talking points. You're insulting the woman, and you say she hasn't gone to China. Why would you say that to a Chinese woman?
Well, she's actually based in the United States.
Well, I know, but it's a Chinese.
And who knows? Who knows, right? She is based in New York via Beijing, she says. But I mean, the point is, I'm a nobody, and I went and saw things. I asked questions. I just asked about everything that people over here think that they, what's the CCP, and let's see all of the. In fact, today, June 4th, is a perfect day for this, and we don't have to listen to anything, but there he is. There's Tank Man from the infamous Tiananmen Square massacre. Notice he's getting massacred. Actually, nobody was massacred on that day, and so if you just kind of question a few people, then everything kind of falls apart. Now in China, they were very open. They were very willing to talk about anything and everything. And this goes on for a little bit, where he kind of dances around in front and everybody comes along. And then finally the cops come over and they just take him away.
Oh, yes, we all remember that.
Right.
Okay, so
right.
that's
so no massacre. That's June 4th.
That's the June 4th reference.
But the main thing was,
what about the June 3rd reference?
The June 3rd reference, the gold.
This was yesterday's news. Matt, did you know that we have a gold sponsor now? Goldco.
No. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's not just Judge Knapp who's pushing this.
That's right. Well, so the issue
what does this news mean? Is this good news for us? Does this mean the price of gold might go up?
Well, might go up for sure. It means I'm going to call Goldco, and all of my friends should call Goldco and get their gold knowledge kit that I got. Remember, I told you it was like 5 to 10 different little books about why gold is a good investment. But really, it's has to do with the fact that it's stability, right? People in the world want stability. This is like the official mantra of the Chinese government. Everything we do is for the stability of our population. How can you begin talking about building roads, bridges, farms, factories, if you're always in an unstable situation, war, things like that? In particular, right now in the Middle East or Russia, Ukraine, and we're of course pouring lots of money and intelligence into both of these things. Hey, I mean, practically Israel's the 51st state now. Isn't that a bill or something like that that's in Congress? So gold, it's not just the Chinese being the biggest buyers of gold bullion. Actually, it's governments everywhere. So that's why I bought gold from Goldco.
All right, check it out at winers.gold.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, sorry to make you sit through all our nonsense. Let's get to the John Bolton plea deal. What's your take on that?
Yeah.
This is, look, we had Reality Winner spent 4 years in prison. Chelsea Manning, she did 7. John Kiriakou did almost 2 years, right? You had people's lives who were turned upside down, like Tom Drake, arrested in front of his family while he was in the shower. FBI comes into his house, guns drawn. Right. I mean, all these people who were serving a public interest, who were telling the American people in the world what their government was doing, the illegal things that they were doing, the criminal things they were doing, the immoral things they're doing, and they went to prison. John Bolton, like General David Petraeus, will not go to prison. He'll have some type of plea deal, as we're finding out. Right. And Morgan, you said maybe there'll be a fine involved.
$2 million probably.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
okay, yeah. And no jail time though, right?
I doubt it.
0 to 5 years. That's what they said on that news thing. So it
Which
could
means
be zero.
I'm with Matt. It's gonna be
Yeah,
zero.
I'm gonna,
I think
I'm gonna go with, Jeff. I might disagree with you on the chopsticks, but I'm fully on board with you on terms of
good.
how much field time John Bolton's
That's right.
getting. Yeah.
All right. We're
Yeah,
making up. I was afraid our relationship was crumbling, but we made up.
But it's very similar, right, to Pierre Petraeus, who, as director of the CIA, passed top secret information, including information about operations, to his mistress, who was also writing his biography at the time. So it was all for self-aggrandizement, right? All for self-enrichment, that he violated classified procedures and laws and everything else. No public interest involved. And here, I guess the same thing too. We're learning about John Bolton. It all went to his family so that he could write a better book.
Yep.
He could sell more copies, right? I mean, and again, you can look at the ones I just rattled off, Chelsea or Reality or John. They weren't allowed to have public interest offenses. Look at, hey, Ed Snowden. Ed Snowden was letting the American people know your government is spying on you deliberately and massively.
Wait. Are we talking about communist China arresting people and spying on people? Or I forget now. Oh, okay.
Right.
I'm sorry.
It's exactly right. Exactly right. I mean, so, and here's John Bolton is going to get a sweetheart deal, and he's still going to be invited to all the cocktail parties and fancy lunches in DC. He's still going to sit on the board of directors for how many different companies, right? He's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. And so, the double standard, the ability of the elite, the ruling class, the establishment, however you want to call these people, to get away with things, again, for their own self-aggrandizement, for their self-enrichment. They were serving no public interest. John Bolton's defense wasn't, look, I had to have this information because Donald Trump was going to do bad things, and I had to let the American people know about it. No, it's because I want to have a more salacious book. I want to have a book with more exciting stuff in it.
But it's going to have a nice
Who's to say that he's actually going to be the one who pays this money? I mean, he might.
Exactly.
He might be getting a little help from allies.
There is a chapter, though, in there about how I fell in love with Donald Trump, and it's going to be around the whole Iran invasion. So, he is fallen back in love. He's now a big cheerleader for that policy. So,
of course he is. Of course he is. I mean, the thing about secrets, about government secrets, the best thing I ever heard said about it was what Neil Shaheen said about what he learned from the Pentagon Papers. And Shaheen was a New York Times journalist. He wrote one of the best books, not on the Vietnam War, but on all of America's wars. If people ask me, hey, Matt, what book should I read to understand the Afghan and the Iraq wars? I will say read A Bright Shining Light by Neil Shaheen. It's about Vietnam, but if you read that book, you will understand America's wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. The same with David Halberstam's The Best and the Brightest. But Shaheen said, following the Pentagon Papers, where Dan Ellsberg exposed that, hey, the U.S. government has known for years that the war in Vietnam is unwinnable, and they just keep lying to you about it, right? And here's all the 120,000 pages proving that, or however long however many pages Dan was able to photocopy. But what Shaheen said about secrets was that secrets don't exist to protect the American people from some foreign adversary. They exist to protect the American government from the American people.
Oh, very nice.
That's the truest thing I've ever heard. I had a top secret clearance. I was involved in all this stuff for 12 years or however long, and a lot of time working with intelligence, reading intelligence, seeing intelligence, being around intelligence officers, being in SCIFs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I can tell you the first time I ever saw classified information, I was a second lieutenant stationed in Okinawa, Japan. And I've got to do something involving our war planning for a war with North Korea. I'm the engineer officer for one of the teams involved in that. So I've got to go into our battalion headquarters intelligence SCIF. A SCIF is a vault, secure compartmentalized intelligence facility or whatever it stands for.
No signals can get in and out.
Yeah, it's basically a vault. You're not supposed to be able to, no one can see in it, no one can hear in it, that type of thing, And so I go in there and I'm like all excited, I'm this young lieutenant in the Marine Corps. This is 1999, I guess, or 2000. But I'm all excited about like reading all this intelligence on North Korea. And it was garbage. I might as well just picked up back issues of National Geographic and pulled out like the encyclopedias my mom bought me from the supermarket when I was a kid. I mean, that was the level of intelligence that we had on North Korea. And then, of course, that was at the secret level. I've seen top secret. It's very rarely in your time doing this do you come across information where you're like, oh my God, wow, holy cow, that is revelatory. Now I fully understand what's happening. Or, oh man, if this was known, that would change everything. No, most of the stuff is pretty much run of the mill. It's classified because, as Dana Priest wrote about in a book called Top Secret America about 15 years ago, intelligence and classification itself is a major industry in the United States. Millions of people have secret and top secret clearances. It's you have the military industrial complex and you have the intelligence industrial complex. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. There's the cone of silence.
The cone of silence.
Yeah.
Well, and since you were with us, the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has resigned, and the acting DNI now is Bill Pulte. What is the significance of that? I mean, what do you think of him? Is what I mean.
Well, I think Pulte is there just to do the president's bidding. Mm-hmm. And if you go back to when Pam Bondi, the attorney general, was fired, what was one of the complaints about her from Donald Trump was that she didn't go against my enemies well enough, right? She didn't go after the people who hurt me strongly enough. And I think that's among many reasons why Gabbard was told to resign. And I do believe her husband has cancer and everything, but like I think this was it's a convenient reason for her to leave. One of the reasons why she was not in favor was because she was not going after the president's enemies the way he felt the director of national intelligence should. And that's a really scary thing. You have a Trump loyalist, this guy bleeds MAGA red, who is going to be the director of national intelligence with all of those tools that are going to be available to him to go after the president's enemies. I don't agree with Senator Mark Warner from Virginia very often. I hardly ever do. But I do agree with him on this. This is very dangerous to have some type of loyalist like this in charge of some just complete political hack, some, billionaire who's also a political operative being put in charge of all this is very, very worrying to me.
Kind of a monolithic situation where everything is just one unified controlled apparatus. Is that what you would say? About
well,
that?
I mean, for what purposes too? If Pulte was going to go in there to hey, this whole director of national intelligence is really screwy. There's 17 agencies, Bill, and actually there's 18 now because the Capitol Hill Police have their own intelligence service, now. So there's another federal intelligence agency, right?
17 exactly. Wasn't enough. I always said we need another one.
So, it'd be one thing if like, hey, we need to bring you and your business sense to streamline a director of national intelligence, make these 19 intelligence agencies act as one. You can see, okay, this guy was guy built, major commercial construction guy. Okay, he's going to bring his business sense. That's not what it is about. It is strictly about having a loyalist there, someone who's going to do exactly what Trump wants. And when Trump said, and as well, too, someone who's a suck up, right? Someone who's a sycophant. So I don't even think Trump's going to have to give a list of people to Pulte to go investigate, to use the intelligence community's tools and apparatus and personnel and resources against. I'm pretty certain that Pulte's enough of a self-starter and enough of a suck up that he'll create a list on his own.
You have a canine loyalist on the premises, and even though this dog is loyal, as all dogs are, you want to get rid of him. We just saw him walk by behind you.
He's under my desk now, yeah.
He's under your desk now, yeah. Right, let's help you solve this problem. I mentioned this. I mentioned this earlier. Tell the folks what happened. This is an abandoned dog, and how did you get a hold of it, and what's been going on?
So my ex-girlfriend found him in a gas station parking lot, and she called me, and I had room in my house. And so at that point, and so I said, yeah, and just one day, sure, absolutely no problem. And so 6 weeks later, he's still with me. He's a wonderful dog. He has got just a real gentle, sweet disposition. He is approximately 9 months old, male, cane Corso. So he is more than 80 pounds now.
That's Cane Corso, please.
Yeah.
It is. It's Italian.
It is Italian. It's an Italian Mastiff. It's another word for another term for them. And he's going to get to be 110, 120 pounds. These dogs have reputations. There are people who like these dogs for all the wrong reasons. Yeah. He is a very strong dog. He's still a puppy, so the mind-body connection is not really there. But when he puts his mind to something, he is very strong. But he is incredibly sweet, incredibly gentle. He was likely abused. He probably, I think, my house is the first house he'd ever been in his life. And like I said, he was likely abused, and we're, all
right, let's find out if Stefan's, we might have just solved your problem. Stefan, we kid around a lot, but let's not. Oh, you're serious.
Stefan's serious.
I told you we'd solve your problem.
Who is
Stefan? Stefan is one of our regular viewers. He says he wants him. Matt, you said you would drive anywhere east of the Mississippi, and Stefan lives in London. No, he lives in New York. He lives in the Bronx.
I'm actually going to be in New York this weekend, but
is this Kismet? Is this Kismet?
I'm flying. I'm flying, and he's not. First of all, he's not going to fit on the plane. But also also too, Stefan, let you know though, he likely was abused. He is very skittish. I am the only person in the world right now he'll let touch him.
So it's a little bit of getting to know you.
It's going to be a lot of socialization. He wants to play with other dogs when he sees them. I don't know about cats. I would not recommend children at all because he is so skittish.
How old is he again?
He's probably about 9 months.
So that's part of it. He's a baby, basically.
He's a baby, and I think he was chained in somebody's yard and never saw anything. I mean, everything is new to him still. Everything is, and hey, we're making progress with him over the last 6 weeks. And the thing about it though is I think anyone who's interested in him, Stefan, if you are, and I don't know your background, Stefan, so excuse me if I'm already saying things that you understand and you get. But the fear is that with a dog at this age who is scared of everything, if you don't socialize him, if you don't get him comfortable, if he doesn't get confident, that fear turns into aggression. And then you got a very large, very strong dog, a dog that has a reputation. And that causes problems for him down the line.
But I had a dog, Matt, and what you're saying, the good news is that the dog is young. So he's actually going to be open to learning, and that is how you get the trust, and that's how you get the dog to calm down. So that's really good.
That's it. And the progress we've made with him, or I've made with him in six weeks, is really astounding. When I first brought him to my house, he didn't come into my house for days. Door would be open. I put treats down on the floor like he wouldn't come in the house. And then, same thing too. It was impossible to walk him. I don't want to say he was feral, but he was, it was, to walk him was almost an impossibility. So you start off in the backyard and you're just back there. And then you go out in the street with him. And then, oh my God, all the distractions, all the noises, a truck goes by and he just wants to get away. So you just, you slowly build up with him and you teach him things. And then as well too, he is my, all told, I've had 14 dogs in my life. So he's my 14th dog. I've never had to use a trainer before just because of the dogs we've had. And because, but this dog I'm using a trainer with because this dog this size with this type of fear, I got a guy who had trained canines in the military and police, and he came over and it was like working with the dog whisperer. And now we're taking walks for 20 to 25 minutes, and it's still not great, but it's, hey, we're doing it. So
I worked with a trainer before, and I tell you what, I'm really for getting a trainer to work with the dog because the dog just appreciates you 10 times more the rest of their life.
Yeah, it was. I mean, this experience with Tim was really great. Now, most of the dogs I had in the past, most of them have all been rescues. They're all generally older. As well as I generally also usually have other dogs. So you bring a new dog in and the other dog learns from the other dog. It's always helpful. So in this case, he's here by himself. And So looking for a good home for him.
Well, you don't have to look anymore. You got one.
Stefan,
Yes, Stefan is definitely. If you guys have his,
I'll give you guys each other's contact info,
yeah,
and you can make it
it's
happen.
a date, Stefan.
Yeah. My nephew, by the way, my nephew is a dog trainer. That's how I knew it was a Cane Corso.
Yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
it wasn't because I know anything about this. So.
Yeah, he does need a fenced yard at this point, and as well too. He also, we need veterinarian references and everything. I'm sure you're an upstanding guy, Stefan, but I can tell you that I have had multiple people contact me about this dog over the last weeks who are all excited about it and telling me they got all this stuff. And then when I say, hey, I need a veterinarian reference from you, I never hear from them again. So there are a lot of people
reference.
Yeah, well, you do that because there are a lot of shady people out there. And there's, I'm down here in North Carolina. We have people who fight dogs. We also have people, this breed, how do you pronounce it, Jeff? I don't want to be culturally.
Cane Corso.
The Cane Corso.
Yeah.
The puppies start at $2,500 for certain coats, for certain colors. Some of the dogs for a certain coat color, they're $4,000 or $5,000 for puppies. So there are people out there I know who are thinking, hey, I can get this dog. He's 9 months old, and I can turn around and sell him for $500 or $1,000.
Yeah.
All right. Stefan's really reassuring us, so I think he's
Stefan he's a good guy. We've met him before face to face up in New York.
Okay.
So
yeah. We may need a psychiatrist reference though for Stefan. He does seem a little bit.
No,
I'm just kidding. No, he's a fan of Scott's.
Counseling for
He's
Stefan
a fan
and
of
Jeff.
Scott's. They met. He came to the event that we did were you at that one in New York? I can't remember.
I missed that. I
was.
That's right. Morgan was there.
Yeah,
that's where we met.
That's right.
Yeah. So Stefan's he's a cool dude in a loose mood. Somerville John will vouch for him, but who will vouch for Somerville John?
That's true.
I will.
Is that Somerville spelled with? Is Somerville spelled with a U or an O?
Yeah. That's Somerville, South Carolina. He's one of our regulars.
All right. If he was from Somerville, Massachusetts, I'd be concerned.
No, misspelling. Yeah, unless he just wasn't that bright. No, it's Somerville spelling his town the correct way for South Carolina.
Oh,
yeah.
well,
all right. Well, we solved your problem. Any other problems that you have, Matt, that you would like us to address here tonight?
I do. I actually just had to cut some drywall off of my bathroom where my, the shower.
I need it. If it's about that big, I need a piece because I'm moving a TV off of a wall, and I need something that fits right in there.
Okay, this is it's not that wide. It's about a 1 inch by 8 inches. I had to cut off the wall, so I could use some help with that. I have to get my house resided as well. So anyone wants to come over?
Jeff, Jeff said he'll drive anywhere to side a house.
Wait a minute. I'm just moderating this. The audience can help if they wish.
Oh, yeah, that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, I've got some masonite composite siding right now. I'm going to upgrade to, hardy if people want to help me out. It's
Hey, are you going to New York this weekend so you can watch the Knicks beat the Spurs in person?
Yes, because as you know, Jeff, as a anti-imperialist, anti-war pundit and activist, I am rolling in it. And so Knicks tickets are something that I really, right in my no, of course.
Oh, yeah.
My godkids.
Why did you score tickets?
Well, you could go to one of those they're having these watch parties that are either free or very inexpensive.
Yeah, I will watch it up. I'll be up there tomorrow night and Saturday night. And we're all Knicks fans, though. We're Canes fans now. I'm still a Rangers fan, but I'm a Canes fan. I've been living down here for long enough, and
they made it to the Stanley, so
it's a nice game too. The Stanley Cup. I can't afford those tickets either.
By the way, according to my calendar, it's June 4th, and we're playing basketball and hockey. It's practically summer.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, here in North Carolina, where they're playing tonight, it was 90 degrees here today. It was hot. It was hot here today. And that's hockey goes for pretty much 10 months a year. My brother is an off-ice official for the NHL, so he's there at the game. He manages the team of officials there. He's been doing that for more than 20 years now. So he's got to go to the game, and we do get tickets, throughout the year from him. However, the NHL does not give their officials free tickets during the Stanley Cup.
Of course. No, that seems about par for the course.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Those are the big ticket items for sure.
I guess you're right. Yeah, that's what they want to charge all the.
It is. It's crazy. I mean, the tick. If I looked into going, because my dad's 90, and my dad is a big hockey fan, a big Canes fan. He goes to a number of games every year, watches them every night religiously. And hey, if my dad can go to a Stanley Cup game, that would be great. Mm-hmm. And I looked into the ticket prices, and the cheapest ones were, $1,400-$1,500.
Okay. Wow.
I just saw
which is a lot cheaper than the Knicks tickets, but yeah.
I just saw Springsteen at Madison Square Garden a couple of weeks ago, and it cost me, I forgot the exact figure, but over $400. I've never spent that much money on anything, even a house or a car.
Per ticket?
Yeah, per ticket.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. No, and actually, for Springsteen at Madison Square Garden, that sounds like it's like on the, that's not that bad. I thought, I would figure those tickets would be over $1,000 each or something.
Well, I'm sure they were from scalpers, but I got it through someone who's in Springsteen's band, so it was just face value. But face value is pretty expensive.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking even earlier. I mean, when you guys, we can tie this back to the Iran war if you want and talk about. Sure. Right. I mean, what's coming to us?
The king of segues here. If you can get from the Knicks to Bruce Springsteen to Iran.
But when
actually, what I was going to bring up, because we were talking about John Bolton, and I was thinking about you. Like you said, you're a pundit, you're military. You also ran for office. So now what we have is in Delaware, we had this bizarre case where corporations are now allowed to vote in some of the local elections. I mean,
all right. So you're going to step all over Matt's segue to Iran and just
was he really segueing to Iran? I wasn't sure.
I was going to tie it back into wine. Like this was going to be just a segue that was going to leave you reeling, Ryan. You're just going to look at that wine bottle and say, you know what? I don't need any more because Matt.
I can't look at the wine bottle. My wife came in here. It's so good. She took it and walked out. So I'm down to the end. We haven't even gotten anywhere yet.
But I had not heard about this, though. I'm not surprised by that corporations have that type of role in Delaware elections now. I'm not surprised.
Well, there's more corporations in Delaware. I think it's 2 million corporations.
It's not now. The word now is not quite right. There was a court case challenging it, but it's actually been in effect since 2008. Which is before the Citizens United decision. So let's not compare it to that.
But however, it's interesting because the way that it's written, even up in Bloomberg law, is that Citizens United enables this kind of. It's they say, well, it's logical, but yeah, there's 2 million corporations registered in Delaware, and there's like 1 million citizens in.
So Delaware. They're actually able to cast ballots
in certain small towns. They are allowed to cast ballots and vote. I don't know who does it. I think everybody. Every employee has to come in together, and they all have to choose the right bubble to color.
It does sound wacky. It does. I'll admit that, but I don't. It's just probably nothing to worry about. That you can't be like screaming about the slippery slope and opening the floodgates when you realize it's been in effect since 2008, only there and nowhere else. So.
I mean, it is Delaware. It's a credit card capital of the United States, right? So,
but now what do you expect? It could expand, right? Is that what?
Well, I'm saying I don't. Given that it's been on the book since 2008, it doesn't look like it's going to expand. In other words, people getting all alarmist over it are worried about nothing because
it's just bizarre. That is for sure. It's a bizarre kind of a thing.
But I think Matt knows a lot about campaign finance, and I heard you on Judge Knapp's show a couple of days ago referring to AIPAC giving money to members of Congress as legalized bribery. Can you say a little bit about that and whether or not you think there's anything that could be done about it?
Oh gosh, it's just not AIPAC or the Israel lobby. It's our, everything. Our entire system of government is essentially legalized bribery. The Israel lobby doesn't do anything that the banks don't do. It doesn't do anything that the weapons companies don't do. It don't just do anything that big ag or pharma, right, or any industry that's able to purchase what it wants from Congress does. I mean, just look at who writes, say, our agriculture policy. Look at who writes our agriculture laws. Those are the big agriculture companies, right? And they determine the subsidies. They determine the tax breaks. They're the ones who determine essentially what our tariffs are going to be. I mean, Donald Trump has thrown a wrench in a lot of this, right? But you know, I mean, certainly the idea that the committees in Congress are staffed by those who have been vetted by these various industries. And then, of course, you have the very obvious campaign contributions, you know, and so as well, too, the establishment and funding of think tanks throughout Washington, D.C. And so you have this ability of industries to capture our policy. And it's essentially all, you know, comes back to this idea of it being legalized bribery, that as long as there's money involved in politics, the donors will have such a substantial sway over the political parties that, you know, good ideas, whatever merit they may have no place. You know, I mean, so, you know,
but there are limits. I mean, do you see a solution? Changing the amount or something new altogether, or what? Or
I don't see a solution anytime soon. I mean, right? I mean, unless
me neither. You know what the solution might be, and there's no easy solution, but maybe the most likely would be to somehow figure out a way to help the population develop critical thinking skills and to exercise greater discernment. That
Jeff,
might.
You are, again, aside from the chopstick problem between you and I, we are eye to eye on this. Exactly.
All right. Do you want to share a summer home and tell each other how great we are? Maybe Cape Cod?
So do you think that, I mean, we have the boomer issue, I guess I would call it, given the Massey election, where you had every other age group voting for Massey, except for the highest age group where they voted for Galrain. Do you think that that's actually going to carry, or that as soon as the older age group below the boomers gets older, they also will be propagandized to follow in line?
I think so. I think they'll have I mean, it'll be different issues, but it'll be the same predilections of the older class, if you will. It'll be the same. It won't be the old, you know, age groups or demographics addicted to Fox News and MSNBC, but it'll be another form, right? It'll be another manner in which certain demographics are scared, or, you know, are pummeled into supporting something through fear-based politicking. And again, now coming back to what Jeff just said, the idea, though, the remedy to that is to have a public that can think critically, is to have a sharing of information, is to have open knowledge. And so, like, what we're doing here, this is what gives me hope. I mean, the idea of doing this 5 years ago, Jeff, you know, I guess during COVID, things got a lot better, but go back to 2019, these types of video sessions, they weren't great. They weren't great, you know? And so what we have here, this scares the hell out of them. This scares the hell out of the establishment. This scares the hell out of the ruling class. What you just brought up, Morgan, about how you see with the various demographics in the Massey race. Yeah. You know, if you know, they understand that.
So there was a lot of money that was put into that race. It was, what is it, the most expensive Senate race in American history or something like that. But I would say it's not just these kinds of discussions. I mean, Matt, you know, you've mentioned a couple of books here in the course of our show. Last time you were on, I mentioned that there were some books that I was reading. What's his name from Flags of Our Fathers? James
Bradley.
James Bradley, right? Yeah. And so I think that it's not just these shows. The thing is, we're actually trying to educate ourselves and others, and we see, and you're somebody that can help to educate the American people. So
it's also ordinary people. I mean, the action is on the internet. It's the internet. And you notice that all these people who moan about Citizens United all the time, they never celebrated when all the action shifted to the internet. So you don't really need a lot of money to influence politics. I mean, I'm not trying to diminish that. Sure, that is a factor. But isn't it worth celebrating that if you are just some nobody who can create a clever meme, that might go viral? And when you multiply that over and over again, this is where all the action is. It doesn't even matter that much TV ads anymore, does it?
Well, I think it does. I mean, it's certainly in the primaries, the people who turn out to vote, they are the ones who watch Fox News and MSNBC. So I particularly to say in Massey's case where it was a closed primary, so only registered Republicans were able to vote. So you are in a primary like that, you are getting Fox News viewers, right? So certainly it's information, though, how it is received, how it is transmitted. And it's a question of, I mean, the money is dominating, and in the U.S. House elections, it's 92% or 93% of the person who spends the 92 or 93% of the time, the person who spends more money wins. I mean, the money does dominate, but the ability, though, for information to be provided, for us to educate, for us to communicate, for us to coordinate, to inform, to mobilize, it scares the hell out of them. I mean, look at look at how the Iran war started with less than a third of the population supporting that. And compare that to the Iraq war and how that started with 75% of the population supporting that. Both wars built upon lies. You might make the claim that George W. Bush's people were more competent liars than Trump's people are. But however, I believe if you had had social media, if we had had the internet as we now have it, we had certainly had it back in 2003, but if we had it as it now exists, if we had the independent journalism, if we had the podcasts, if we had the ability of people to see what life is actually like in Iraq, right? Just as people saw what life is actually like in Gaza, that the Iraq war would not have happened or would have been precluded. I mean, so I think this is revolutionary what we are involved in here. And again, that scares the hell out of them. It's why they forced the sale of TikTok, right? I mean, that's,
one thing that does worry me, though, is that they acknowledge this shift towards podcast world so much so that they are artificially pumping up these characters. I know that a character like Midas Touch, who's more on the left leaning side, he was caught taking a lot of like DNC money, I believe.
Sure.
Nick Shirley, who was on the right. I'm not sure if you know who I'm talking about, Matt. He was caught up in the daycare scandal that he propped up. That was already a thing. He's being propped up by the White House right now. He's very right leaning. Pushing for engagements in Cuba. I think he just went to Cuba and talked about how he was detained and harassed by the repressive government of Cuba.
He was kind of a drama queen in that instance. So
you have these characters that I think are being artificially propped up by our algorithms because they play a role in kind of just what the mainstream media did now, but to the platforms that, my generation, your generation, we consume.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a hell of a fight still. And AI is the worst of it. AI is going to be, I just had a thing today where some knucklehead was arguing with me on X about Israel. And,
you got in a Twitter feud today too?
A little bit. I precluded it. I ended it after one or two back and forth. I just said, go on with my life, But like, he's asking Grok about, say the Nakba, the destruction of 500 Palestinian villages and cities, 700,000 people ethnically cleansed, deliberate, systematic. The plans were all there. The ideology and theology of Zionism for decades had said, this is what we're going to do. And Grok's answer, if people don't know, Grok is the AI thing
for X.
Grok's answer about the Nakba was that the Nakba came about because of a compromise that was not accepted by the Arab states. And the terms of the compromise, why 1/3 of the population was going to get 55% of the land, the best land, was because of economic vitality and settlement trends, right? That was Grok's explanation for the Nakba, right?
Economic vitality and settlement trends. What is that?
I don't even know what the hell that means, right? But
it sounds like a home commercial for moving into a new neighborhood.
Yeah, and if you're reading this Grok thing, okay, it goes along with that trope, with that mythology, with that nonsense that the Palestinians were offered a good deal and they just wanted everything, and all they want to do is push the Jews into the sea, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we know that's not what happened. The Israelis themselves say that's not what's happened. But the algorithm for Grok is now set up in a way to provide that type of answer to people. And then you and I know how our system works, our education system. Someone of authority stands in front of you and tells you something. That's it. That's the truth. And now AI is going to be that authoritative tool that is going to ensure the historical narrative, whether you're using Google, whether you're using
well, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you have a preferred AI platform?
I do use them. I use Claude if I have to do something with writing, although you got to double check everything. Claude can't even, God help you, if you ask it to do, and this is what's so dangerous too, the stuff makes incredible mistakes. It hallucinates. But also to the programming, I got into a fight with ChatGPT over the Iraq War.
Into a fight,
exactly. It's incredible how these things are we could.
When I had my brother-in-law and sister visiting, and we were driving around, we were talking whatever it is on. I don't know which service it was. What's the Google one? I guess it was on the phone.
Google's Gemini.
Yeah, Gemini. I guess in the car, we were cracking up. We were trying to provoke.
Well, now, Matt, you just said something. You were talking about.
Yeah, let me just tell you what ChatGPT told me. So the fight was about, I was trying to do some research on the Iraq War, and it told me something about the Iraqi resistance, which was just total garbage. That the Iraqi resistance that was fighting the American occupation was composed essentially of Saddam Hussein loyalists. They were all jihadists, dedicated to Al Qaeda. They were all criminals. And I said, where are you getting this from? And it gave me its sources, and the sources it used were General David Petraeus's biography. God help me, it's the second time now I've said his name in an hour. But General David Petraeus's biography, as well as the official history of the Iraq War as written by the United States Army, the U.S. Army's own official history of the war. Those were the sources that ChatGPT used. And so when I pushed back and I said, hey, look, come on, that these sources are no good. This is all just propaganda, or in Petraeus's case, self-written hagiography, or his mistress's hagiography, right? ChatGPT's response was that I'm programmed to defer to institutional structures rather than historical accuracy.
Julian,
at least it was honest.
It was honest. I mean, it was absolutely honest. I mean, that was fine.
I wish I could remember the specifics, but I just saw a guy make a video or post a video the other day, and he says you can change the settings to program how honest or argumentative ChatGPT.
You can't. That's bullshit.
You think that's
bullshit?
Okay.
Like, the people that are writing these codes and trying to program these AIs, that's kind of the shtick, like, of who gets to input the information into this AI. I know I had an argument with Grok about what does anti-Semite mean.
It's just funny to hear people said I had an argument.
And but finally at the end, I was like, well, you make this acknowledgement that this is what it truly means, because they were basically saying that it only is can be used for the Jewish people and how they'll be targeted against, instead of what the term Semite actually means. And so we went back and forth, and he acknowledged that, or AI acknowledged that they were wrong, and that they would, whenever anyone else asked them, they would add that caveat in there. So I don't know if they ever did, but I thought that was very interesting. But speaking about informing the public, I just noticed that Thomas Massie said that on June 8th, he will give a speech on the House floor about the brave members that died and were injured on USS Liberty, which would be the first time a congressional member has spoken on the floor and not referred to the attack on USS Liberty as an accident. or that was, that Israel didn't mean to do it, kind of thing. So I
What
thought
do you
that
mean
was
the first time? What about, I can't remember his name. Wasn't there somebody, the guy from Alaska, was it?
apparently no other representative has taken the stance that basically what Thomas Massie is saying, that it was an unprovoked attack by the state of Israel. All the others have kind of done the both sides, or just the one side where it was an accident and, Israel didn't mean to do it.
I'm spacing out on his name, but
Just before you
maybe
keep
Mike
going,
Gravel, Mike Gravel, Jeff. So you're thinking
yeah,
of?
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Mike
So
Gravel.
maybe he did it in the Senate, and Massey's the first in the House. But still, it's incredible, Morgan, what you're talking about here. How I spent 10 years in the U.S. Marine Corps. 2 Marines died on that ship. Bryce Lockwood, the one Marine who survived, received the Silver Star for what happened that day. And if you read Bryce's Silver Star citation, it doesn't mention Israel at all. It's just this unnamed enemy attacked the ship. And Bryce, Star Sergeant Lockwood, A, B, and C saved a heck of a lot of lives and everything, received the Silver Star. But, I spent 10 years in the Marine Corps. I never heard about the USS Liberty, ever.
It was the largest attack on a naval ship.
Interesting.
We interviewed, why can't I remember anything? One of the survivors on
Turney, I think.
with Scott Ritter. What?
Turney, Matt. Yeah, Turney.
Yeah. What's his first name? Really nice
I
guy.
just remember his last name. I never had a conversation.
Yeah. Very emotional. That was amazing.
Well, I
remember
jump
it
in
very
here.
well, but go ahead.
Jeff, hold on, because Matt, you've said a couple of things that I was thinking about in terms of the sources, the AI. Some years ago, Julian Assange had pointed out that with digital archives, digital repositories for the intellectual record, that what's happening is things are moving to that and then getting purged.
Yeah.
That is a significant danger. So, I think people's concern about data centers is less important than how this stuff is used. Just kind of as a part of it, I found an article very interesting here about Meta, where hackers basically got Meta to give them access to Barack Obama's White House account. This is recently.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's not just the case that the establishment can control these AIs or through policy. There are ways that you can, kind of create a walled garden to make it useful for you. That's how I do it with work. But the fact is that you have to have a constant process of securing actual historical record, and that's getting worse, even though the technology is better, supposedly.
Right. You have folks like the National Security Archives at George Washington, but online you have now I'm blanking on it, but the folks who record everything, the internet.
Oh gosh, I should know.
No,
NSA?
these are good guys. Yeah, they map the internet, and you could go back and search for something from a certain date, and then this is what it looked like, right? And you have we're losing that. Whether it's things being deleted, we're seeing with the consolidation of media that those digital archives are gone. So some
is that the Wayback Machine?
The Wayback Machine. Thank you very much, Ryan. Yes. And so, but we see with the consolidation of media, a corporation buys a newspaper outfit or a media company, and they just basically dissolve it. And then where are those archives? And so you have this history in the United States of all these thousands of local newspapers that have gone out of business over the last decades. What happened to their archives? They're gone. They become property of the corporation that purchased them, and then they're just gone, basically. Maybe they are on a server someplace, but they're not accessible anymore. So all that history is no longer there. But the other thing too about this as well is that if you remember, go back 20 years or so, and you read a New York Times article, very often it would have a hyperlink to the primary source, right? So you'd talk about, say, in 2008, maybe they may have stopped doing this by then already, but say 2008, that court decision regarding corporations voting on elections in Delaware, you would read the news story and there would be a link to the court decision, right? So you could read the primary source yourself. folks who are reading the Times or the Post or the Journal, how often does that happen anymore?
Oh, I
that.
get frustrated because they'll be mentioned something and it will just mention it in passing, or have the blue hyperlink and you click on the blue hyperlink and it sends you to a whole other story that has nothing to do with the initial story. That has happened so many times.
I haven't noticed what you said. You're saying that they hardly use links anymore now?
That's what I feel, is that the ability to find the primary source that's being talked about. A letter was sent to such and such, or this report came out and it says that A, B, and C.
I think a very small percentage of people actually click on it, but it's nice to have it as an option.
Nice to have it, because very often you'll find maybe that's not what the report actually said, or what are they leaving out? What did they not include in it?
Context. You have to do your own. You have to open up another window and then do your own.
It's happened to me so many times. I think the last time that it happened, there wasn't a hyperlink attached to it. I was trying to find what an Iranian official had said about the Trump peace talks envoy, where they basically said that they constantly change their mind and they don't have any kind of basis for having these talks to begin with. They're not qualified. And I was trying to get the actual direct quote, or like where that was originated from, and I could not find it. But it has been multiple times. I want to say like NBC, and I can't remember another news source, that they're like infamous for doing that, where they'll have the blue hyperlink in the story, you click on it and it attaches it to their just another story, and their same website has nothing to do with it.
And we all know these organizations. I mean, all these, the idea of media is to be neutral and objective, and we all know that is just not. The best we can hope for is they're going to be objective.
It's rarely been true.
Yeah,
to be honest,
it's very difficult. And that's why I'll put a plug in for antiwar.com. Antiwar.com is something I read every day. I've been relying on antiwar.com for years.
How about Consortium News?
Consortium News, I don't read every day, but I certainly, the late Bob Parry and
who does antiwar.com?
I'm sorry?
Who does antiwar.com?
They're affiliated with the Libertarian Institute. Eric Garris is the editorial director. You have Dave DeCamp over there. You got Kyle Angelo, and you got Jason Ditz. You have just got some really great folks who, they have a website where they do some of their own reporting, but a lot of what they're doing is aggregating information. And so every morning I get their anti-war update, which they write themselves. They're not just sending out links to other stories, and what they do when Jason or Kyle or Dave, when they talk about, say, Israel just bombed Beirut or whatever, they're going to have that information with a link to a story that you can read, what the Post said about it, or the Times or the BBC or whoever. But then they're also going to have several paragraphs of context. And they're also going to include links to direct sources. So if you were to go to antiwar.com and read about how the House passed this concurrent resolution to end the war on Iran, which is, just symbolism, that's all it is, you will find a link in there to the actual House roll call, right? So you can go and see who actually voted, who didn't vote. Right? I mean, so I found antiwar.com with their daily digest, their daily update, to provide just not like, okay, here's what's happening, but a good 3, 4, 5 solid paragraphs of context and history to help.
There it is. You see, it's tons of links, like you said.
Tons of links. And then they have people who write directly for them. They republish stuff, and they are just a really terrific outfit.
But, I have hostility for Scott Horton. That's who I was trying to think of, Scott Horton.
And Scott's Connect. I don't know what Scott runs the Libertarian Institute. I don't know what Scott's deal is with antiwar.com now. They're all part of the same little club.
He's the guy who wanted to nix.
Woodrow Wilson.
I had a big argument with him and a big fight.
I don't like him. He's the guy that wanted to nix Scott Ritter's appearance at a big event they were doing with a bunch of speakers in Washington.
Scott Horton did.
Here too in Austin. Remember, Jeff, when I had you guys here, Scott Horton directly started intimidating the local libertarians to not work with Scott Ritter. I argued with him for an hour and a half on the phone.
He's an asshole. How can you? I mean, I'm sure. Life is complicated. I'm sure he produces a lot of good information, but he's also an asshole because the priority should be, if Scott Ritter has a big audience and he's delivering great information, that should outweigh this guy's weird suspicions about Scott. And he was arguing that, oh, we'll all get a bad reputation because he worked with him.
He was
it's like, what about everybody else that works with Scott? Yeah, Matt works with him. Eisenhower works with him. I work with him. Judge Knapp works with him. Everybody works with him. Nobody's getting a bad reputation.
Yeah, that's really disappointing to hear about Scott. I've known Scott since 2010. He's a friend of mine, so I'm really disappointed to hear that. Yeah, I mean, that's how.
I don't know if I should have said that because, I'm sure they do give a lot of good information. So
he's authoritative. I will tell you that Scott's books on the Iraq War, on the Afghan War, so Enough Already, Enough Already, and Fool's Errand are two of the best books you can read on the Iraq and Afghan wars. His book on that came out last year, Provoked, which is about American foreign policy since the end of the Cold War. It really focuses on Europe and then Ukraine, Russia, of course. I mean, you don't get anything more authoritative than that. That book's got like 7,000 footnotes. I mean, so he is very good at what he does, very knowledgeable, and he's been doing it for a very long time. And I'm
fair enough. It's
I'm sad to hear you guys had that experience with them.
I'm totally friends with you all. Nobody's all good. Nobody's all bad.
Maybe I put you all in a room together and we'll open up. We'll uncork. We'll actually uncork bottles of wine and use chopsticks and just
Right.
Also, let me say, ChatGPT isn't all bad. It's good if you want to do creative, fun things with it.
Well,
Can I show you an example? I just did this the other day. We had Scott Blakeman on the show. I think you were off that week, Ryan. Morgan and I talked to Scott. He's a very woke comedian. And he posted something on Facebook saying that he's got this booking that was made a long time ago for Friday night. And now he's got to go up. This is in New York. Now he's got to go up against the Knicks game. So he's afraid nobody's going to show up at the club. So I go to ChatGPT and I have the idea, let me put him in a Knicks uniform. So I got him in a Knicks uniform and I said, Scott, if you promise to show up in a Knicks uniform, you'll pack the joint. And this is what ChatGPT did. Now, doesn't that look good? Isn't that realistic?
It's right. It's and I'll out myself here because I took money away from your co-panelist, Morgan. But for my dad's 90th birthday, my dad had this air conditioning company back in 1963 in New York City, and they called themselves King Cool. They used to lug window air conditioning units up 40 flights of stairs and put them in people's window in Long Island City. And, so we got these T-shirts made, King Cool. And, Morgan's a graphic designer. She does great work. But I just plugged into ChatGPT. Hey, can you give me a right? And within a minute, it gave me something that was good enough. Right? It was good enough. And then Morgan was kind enough. She did the shirts for me. She picked the colors out and everything. And the shirts were a huge hit and it was great. But yeah, it's going to take away those types of jobs because what you just did there with Blake,
Scott Blakeman,
Scott Blakeman. Yeah, that's good. Now, if you sit here and you look at it for more than a second or two, you can tell. But is it good enough for what you're trying to accomplish, Jeff? Absolutely, 100%.
All right, let me tell you the original photo. So what you see in the background is the original background, okay? Wow. But it was only like the upper part of his body. And so I said, put him in a not even say Knicks. I said, put him in a basketball uniform. So the first one gave just the upper torso. So then I go back to it and I say, well, add the rest of his body with the shorts and the sneakers and everything. So that's totally fake at the bottom. That's not.
So his legs don't look that good.
Yeah, right. And then his skin is all yellow from the lighting. And I said, now make his skin more natural. And then it did. I mean, it's so good.
And it wasn't that long ago that it would have done it, and he would have had 6 fingers. Do you remember?
I was just going to say, let's count his fingers.
Do you remember when Kate Middleton, they released that photo? She had cancer or whatever was happening with her, and she hadn't been seen in public for a long time. And then the royal family released a photo of her with her children, and within a minute, the whole world knew that it was an AI photo because like her arm was at some obscene angle from the rest of her body or whatever. It was really bad, right? And like that wasn't that long ago. That was like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. How long? Now look at it. Now you could do it, and no one would know.
Well, somebody
I
just sent me a
I did it with
video
Morgan's photo. Morgan had a photo where her face was a weird color, and I put it into, I think it was ChatGPT, and it made her face have
her
a
natural
natural complexion. And it also, this blew my mind. I didn't even know that this was possible. It increased the resolution. I always thought only the opposite was possible, that you could diminish it. But I don't know how you could take something that's crap and actually do it, but somehow it did that. So then I did it with my own headshot, and it increased the resolution.
Yeah, my older brother has done that with old family photos. He has used, and it is incredible because you see what the photo looks like, right? If you're holding your hand, and it looks like crap, and then he does what he takes a photo of it, puts it into Google, whatever, and holy cow. Yeah.
Amazing.
It
Well,
looks
look
great.
at this. I mean, somebody sent this video of Colonel Douglas McGregor to me a couple days ago, and they're like, this is what he's saying is totally amazing. And, first of all, he spoke for like 40 minutes on this video without ever taking a breath. And it was just like the word count was incredible and completely fake. Never said any of these words whatsoever. But the movements, other than the fact that he didn't breathe, totally natural. So I mean,
could tell. Maybe I got my eyes more
Well,
trained.
you're younger too. You're younger. You're more.
It took me a few seconds, and I was like, "Wait, something is very wrong with this video." But people, they're so interested, I guess, in getting something that will please them. They get lied to, and they.
Well, yeah, during the Thomas Massey primary, you had the boomers who were, at the polls, who'd you vote for? Al Galbraith. Oh, why'd you vote for him? Well, Thomas Massey cheated on his wife. Well, there was this commercial going around where Thomas Massey booked a hotel room with Ilhan Omar at AOC, and they believed it.
Wow.
Or that they said he was too old, and in fact, his opponent is older than him.
I did hear about that, yeah, too.
Yeah.
What I worry about is something like, how the progression of AI it might starts, a war or a conflict between, because
who is that?
Look at how red your face is there. Let me see if I can find how we fixed it. That is really red.
But that's a concern of mine about AI.
I think you look great, Morgan. You look true.
Yeah, well, she always looks great, but
Ryan, what as Jeff tries to find the photo, what you were just saying about the Doug McGregor AI video, and there's also ones for John Mearsheimer, for Larry Wilkerson, right? For Scott, and so it's how long until they fix that, though, right? How long until 6 months?
Oh no, YouTube doesn't fix that stuff.
Yeah. Right. I mean, they'll fix it, and he'll take a breath. He'll move his hand. Their dog will walk in the room, walk back out. It'll be, how long until that's all fixed? Until that none of us who don't have some type of technical capability can tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Not long.
Yeah.
That is a problem.
Wild thing. I believe it was Erin Carroll that said that my generation's the last generation to look at something on a screen and to actually know that it was the truth. Like all of us here, we looked at a video of a wild animal out in Africa somewhere, and we knew that animal actually existed. Someone actually went there and took that video footage. Right. Now you have to guess.
Well, I mean, look at the scandal that Candace Owens has created just by going to Russia. I mean, because you have to believe all kinds of things now that your favorite guy, whether it's, believe it or not, Glenn Beck is still alive or others, there you go. Yep.
She's so gorgeous.
Can you do something about the eyes, though? The eyes one's a little too high. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, stop.
It did make my eyes greener. I noticed that,
but yeah, so it's, you have to.
All right. Well, let's tell people
knowledge.
Where they can find Matt's work. First of all, you got a new post out. And for people who don't understand why Palestinians are persevering and enduring, as I think is the word you used, Matt, you have a post about that with a couple of video clips. You want to say a few words about that to lure people over to check it out?
Yeah, certainly. Thanks, Jeff. Essentially this line that I heard in Gladiator 26 years ago, when Russell Crowe, playing the Roman general Maximus, his legions are about to fight the barbarians in Germany, and one of Russell Crowe's subordinates say to him, people should know when they're conquered. And, Russell Crowe's response is, would you, would I, and it's just, I didn't touch on it too much. I spoke about this on a podcast. And so that makes up the bulk of the essay, but this idea of having strategic empathy, right? This idea of understanding why someone is fighting you, what their purposes are, what's motivating them. In this country, we have an antipathy towards that. We don't like that. That somehow makes you weak, or somehow makes you
the sympathizer, but the
sympathizer, or however you want to describe it. And there really is this inability to understand, particularly when we have our own revolutionary spirit in this country. I mean, we're about to celebrate the 250th anniversary of this country, and the idea of overthrowing a foreign power and having self-determination. That's our whole storyline. We keep selling that line to ourselves, and while not realizing that is essentially why people keep fighting us. Yeah.
All right, and they can check that out along with a lot of other great content at matthewho.substack.com. We've been flashing it on the screen. Let's do it one more time. Because
this is a victory night. We got your Cane Corso a home. I think it's going to work.
I hope so. I really appreciate it. Definitely. Right. I look forward to
talking to you. If you can stay on just for a couple of minutes after the show, so we can make sure we get the right contact info to get you and Stefan connected.
Yeah, that'd be great. Terrific. Yeah.
All right. Also, next Tuesday, I want to promote Probable Cause. Matt is a fellow North Carolinian. Is that the word?
Carolinian, right?
Carolinian, as is Morgan.
There's three of us here. As
am I, Ryan.
I'm the outsider.
I'm the oddball, yeah.
But one thing that
in Central Time Zone too,
my God, I'm a secessionist.
Well, one thing I don't think maybe we should be so proud of is that there's this thing called the homewrecker law in North Carolina. Do you guys know about that? The Kristen Sinema got in trouble with that. You know what I'm talking about? It allows people to, let's say you're in a relationship, you're married, and it allows you to sue the third party who cheated for ruining your relationship, which is pretty wacky. Yeah. So today we recorded an interview with Senator Julie Mayfield. She's a state senator from the Asheville area, and she's trying to abolish this ridiculous law. So we're going to play that and talk about it Tuesday night on Probable Cause. So check that out. And Ask the Inspector's on hiatus for the month of June. We'll be back on July 1st.
Scott is in St. Petersburg at the Economic Forum.
Oh, cool.
Not for the whole month, but at least right now. So,
right. He'll be getting pedicures and massages and so forth at spas after that. He'll find something.
They treat him very nicely down there, I've heard.
Yes, they do.
All right. Well, thanks, Matt and Ryan and Morgan, and thanks to our beloved audience, and thanks to Stefan for solving Matt's problem.
Yes.
He's your hero. Yeah. He's your hero.
Guys.
He is a hero.
It's nice to see you, Matt.
Yeah, Matt, good to see you.
Good.